good morning, and I'm your host, Tami, and thank you for being with us this morning on Tami's Corner. I have a really great treat for you guys this morning, and today we have Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, TV producer, and motivational speaker Gail Kirschenbaum, who's on the line with us today. And I also have in studio my daughter, Toni. This is a really, really special edition. This is about a movie called Look at Us Now, Mother. And so we're going to start with a clip really quickly to give you, the audience, a background of what this movie is about.
This is Mom. This is me and Mom.
Okay? Okay. Talk to you when you get home?
Yes. This is the story of the transformation of our relationship, from Mommy Dearest to My Dear Mom, from wishing her dead to being close friends.
Did you ever see the Buffalo Nickels?
She has commented. Yeah. She said that I look like the Indian on the Buffalo Nickel.
So overall, an extraordinarily supportive mother, one who's given you a tremendous amount of confidence, self-esteem, yes. You feel very comfortable and confident with yourself. This is the kind of portrayal that Mom has given you all these years. And in spite of that, clearly you've become an extraordinarily exceptional and accomplished individual.
Well, they say obstacles build character.
Yeah. You're fading.
I'm fading.
I never realized what an accent she had until she was on the Today Show. Your eyes are all washed out looking.
My mother's comment was, Gail, you sound too Jewish. What is it that you want me to do to my eyes?
Well, I think if you put a permanent liner on there. Put your hair back. Oh my God, look at you. And if I didn't love you, I wouldn't say anything.
So she
now,
loves
how do you get
so much?
She loved me so much that in my early years, I was convinced I was adopted. Do you think that you were a loving, devoted mother to me in my youth? It seems like you're always angry at me, that all your anger came out to me.
Why do you think you never got married?
Good question. Perhaps I have trust issues? I lived in fear of my mother's punishment and had constant headaches and dizzy spells. From head to toe, there wasn't anything right about me, and the only solution for my mother was to remake me. Mom was a glamorous woman, and I was her only daughter. She had to dress up like a doll. She insisted on putting me in organdy dresses, which made me break out in rashes. But to Mom, looking good was more important than feeling good. I was a slow developer, and around adolescence, I began to grow one bump instead of two. I remember when I was 12, my mother kept saying that if my nose didn't stop growing, I would need a nose job. So I did begin to wonder what was growing out of the middle of my face.
Look how cute you are now. The little nose that didn't start to grow yet.
I want to see if we can find where my nose began to take off.
You can't. I went through every one of these photographs, and there's nothing in here that will indicate, because there are no profiles, and your photographs, full face, are all the same.
All the men that I let slip through my hands. Bob, yeah. He's worth a fortune. Stephen, they're all married. And look where I am today. Alone, single, making a movie about my nose with my mother. Little did I realize that when I started, that this movie would grow bigger than my nose. Our life took a dramatic turn when my father suddenly passed away. My mother had never been alone before. Thank you for being my dad. The death of my father was the birth of my relationship with my mother. I was invited to Europe with a movie of mine, and my mother said, I'll join you. For the first time in our lives, we were going to travel together alone.
We are bootlegging the booze. We're not paying for it. We're landing at Berlin. It's the beginning of our adventure.
We were about to find out if Europe was big enough to hold us both.
This is turning out to be a pleasant holiday. Gail and I are getting along very well. I expected to get along well with her. I don't know whether she expected to get along well with me, but we will find out. I will now turn the mic over to Gail.
Thank you, Mother. As I searched for answers as to why she had been so abusive to me, I began to uncover dark secrets from my mother's childhood, an untimely death, suicide attempts, and financial hardships.
I don't remember anything wonderful as a child. I remember my mother never had money. I don't remember having a lot of toys or anything.
I could feel my mother's pain, having suffered so much myself. This was the first of many trips to follow. This personal film delves deeply into the mother-daughter relationship. It travels across continents and over time and hits many bumps in the road. And to think it all began with this bump.
Oh baby, who are you? Oh baby, who are you?
Good morning, Gail.
Yes.
Hi. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on Tammy's Corner. And we're really glad to have you here. And I'd like for you to go ahead and just open up. Feel free.
Well, thank you for having me here, Tammy. I actually want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Which I know is sort of reverse, and you're the host. You heard about the film through a mutual friend, right? And came to see it?
Yes, I did, through Rosalind Kahn.
Okay. So I'm wondering, what was your initial reaction to it when you saw it?
You know, actually, this film was huge. I sat in there, and I didn't know what to expect, actually. And when I looked at the film, I said, oh, my goodness, this cuts across all types of lines. It isn't one culture, one race, one genre. This film was huge because a lot of people that I know, and also I can say for myself, you have issues. Whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, you have issues in the family that are quite dysfunctional. And I love that you said, learn to look at your mom, learn to look at your parent as the child, as a wounded child. And reframe your thinking. I mean, everything you went over in the film really it resonated with me.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I made the movie with only one intention, to help people, because I had spent my career behind the camera telling other people's stories. And what happened was, I emerged in front of the camera with a film I made with my dog, a little dog that I say was a mutual rescue. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time. Now I'm in New York. And I was producing TV. And this little film had a big life, and it was on HBO. But what it did is it put me in front of the camera, and I felt comfortable being there. Mm-hmm. And after that, my mother, who had been after me relentlessly to have a nose job, I said, well, now that I'm middle-aged, Mom, I'm willing to go for a consultation to a few plastic surgeons as long as I can have a camera crew with me. And she couldn't care less about that. Mm-hmm. And the result of that was a very funny 13-minute short film called My Nose, which is available at lookatUsNowMother.com on our website. But that little film had a big life and played all over the world, won awards. But more importantly, is it changed my life, because I'd get off the stage from a Q&A with other filmmakers, because it's a short film. I'd be with other filmmakers, and there would be this line in front of me, and they'd wait to say the same thing. I knew what they were going to say. I love your nose, don't touch it. I can't stand your mother, how do you talk to her? And I'm just thinking, you've hardly seen anything in this little film. Right. And three is, let me tell you my story, because we all have a story.
Yes.
And that's when I transformed my life. That's when I said I have to help people. I developed a seminar. I developed what I call the 7 healing tools on how to transform difficult relationships. And it was then when I heard more and more stories, and I realized it doesn't matter how famous you are, how rich you are, how many children, grandchildren you have. If you were hurt by somebody really close to you growing up, invariably a parent, and you haven't let go of that anger, it affects you. It affects your relationships. It affects your health. So I became a woman with a mission, and that's when I decided to make this film, which ended up being the hardest thing I've ever done.
Wow. Where are you now, like in your stage with your relationship with your mom? I've saw the film, so I don't know if that's intimate or was that just the film. You know, where are you at now?
Oh, we are very close. In fact, she's in the other room. She's here. I didn't schlep her to L.A. because I did Red Eyes, and she's 92. She's a remarkable 92, and no one believes her age. But we opened in Southern Florida March 25th in 4 theaters, so we were running from theater to theater to do Q&A. She's based in Florida. And then I dragged her up, and we had a week of festivals in many states, and then we opened New York. So I knew I'd be zipping in and out and taking red eyes. So unfortunately, you didn't get to meet her in L.A. But we're great. I mean, she is who she is. She sometimes tells the audience I'm her mother. She's a kid. Last night we went out to a local restaurant, which is really hard to get in. And I live in this really trendy neighborhood of Lower Manhattan now, in the meatpacking area.
Yes.
And they know her, and she walks in and she's like the star, and they're like, "Well, we'll get you a table right away."
Beautiful.
And they kept bringing her drinks, so she was walking home happy and tipsy and yelling and screaming and having a good old time.
Awesome. I have a question for you. If you were sitting here a year from now celebrating what a year it's been for you in this role, what would you say?
If I was sitting there, I'm trying to understand, a year of celebrating
everything that has happened, with the film.
Well, I think I have to thank my family, because obviously I was raised with many obstacles and felt I was born into enemy territory, and particularly thank my mother, who was my huge obstacle and my biggest challenge, because if I was born being loved and adored and nurtured, I wouldn't have learned the lessons I've learned and be able to help other people.
Yes.
So, obstacles make you strong and force you to learn and grow.
Yes. Would you consider this project one of your most significant accomplishments in your career?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is just the beginning of my new life. I mean, I am not running off to make another movie on another topic. Everything I'm gonna create now is related on this topic of forgiveness, and particularly between mothers and daughters. But I'm going to start writing a book and creating lots of content and a podcast series and drama with mama, so you can tell your story. So building a movement and a community focused on this, because there's a huge need. So I'm now the accidental therapist.
Wow.
Helping people. Yes.
Wow.
And giving seminars. I've been giving seminars teaching people how to find this forgiveness and how to transform difficult relationships.
Okay, so, and this impact your growth in your career and also your relationship with your mom. Are you preparing for like future endeavors? I know you said that basically that you have many things that you've stepped into. So can you give the audience like different places that they can find out where you'll be? Are you coming back to California or on the East Coast?
Yes. So first of all, the key that everyone should know about and go to is the website and sign up for our newsletter. And we will have a lot on the website. So that's lookatusnowmother.com. And on the upper right-hand corner is where you sign up for the newsletter. And also there's all the icons for our social media. And Facebook, we have all our events and screenings and seminars. So that is how you stay plugged in with us. And if you sign up for the newsletter, then you'll get it in your inbox. We are opening up next theatrically on Long Island. We're doing a May 6th, a Mother's Day 1-week run in several theaters. In fact, the New York Times is writing a feature story that will come out in sync with our release on Long Island. Yeah, because it's a great Mother's Day film.
It is.
Yes, isn't it? I've seen so many mothers and daughters come, or one will come and they'll come back. I've seen so many, and they'll come back together.
Right.
It's a movie. These are words I'm hearing, that the film is evergreen. They're saying it should be required viewing in the mental health field.
Yes.
We have a fan in Florida, because it opened in Florida May 25th, who's seen it 10 times, and each time brings tons of people. Every filmmaker should have a fan like her. It's like a dream. But yeah, I feel very, I'm back in New York, and I just was getting out of the elevator, and a neighbor of mine went to see it because we just had a 1-week run here in Manhattan. And she said, "Oh, I just want to tell you, you have no idea how much I loved your film." And she said, "I just want you to know, people around me, they were crying and they were laughing." And
yes.
I've seen the film, I've seen the audience so many times, and I see that. So,
yes.
Did I mention, I was very touched. You know Susie Orman, the financial?
Yes.
So apparently, I didn't even know this, apparently she lives in the southern Florida area, and she, I guess, I don't know, found out about the film or just went to the movie theater and chose to see it, and she tweeted out to her 1.6 million followers, thanking me for the film, tweeting my handle on Twitter,
wow.
which is at GL Kirschenbaum,
wow.
and then thanking me and saying it helped her a lot, and telling everybody they must go see Look at Us Now, Mother. And what was very funny is one of her followers tweeted her back saying, "Oh, you must mean my name is Doris, the new Sally Field film."
Right.
And she wrote back, "No, I saw Doris and I didn't like it. I meant Look at Us Now, Mother."
Wow. Wow.
And then she followed me, and I saw she only has 95 followers. I mean, she's only following 95 people, and I'm thinking, tomorrow, I better get my act together on Twitter. I'm like, there's so much to do, but I've noticed, like, the influencers out there are big on tweeting.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've got to find my time to get my act together on tweeting.
or build a team to do that.
Yes, that's what I need. Yes, if there's anyone out there who's good in social media, contact me.
Okay. I really want to step back into the film and just let you know that this film actually is one that's extremely empowering, and it's not a film that, like I said, under my wildest dreams, I did not know what it was about. And when I went, I basically sat there and said, wow, I've got to do some self-introspection and do some work on my own, And like I said, I have my daughter who's in studio with me this morning as well. And I think as a mom, like your mother said, there really is no type of template that you get to tell you how to do it correctly. We make mistakes, and when we make mistakes, hopefully we can correct them. Hopefully we can say we're sorry, and hopefully the damage isn't too substantial. And basically try to move forward from that. I applaud your mom. This was a huge step for her to come out and be so raw, so vulnerable in front of, billions of people, because you've also traveled to Israel.
Oh, all over. England, India. It's been in Canada, many places. And hopefully it will continue to travel.
Most definitely. I know that and this should be a curriculum. I really feel that it should be a curriculum that people have as a step, different levels that you go through in any family. That's how I feel once I saw the film.
Yeah.
Yes. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with us this morning? Are you coming back to Southern California, preparing for the Emmys? What's going on with you?
We are actually qualifying it for the Oscars.
What?
So, well, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. We're just,
okay.
To submit to the Oscars, there's certain requirements.
Yes.
And so we're doing that, and it doesn't mean anything. I mean, quite honestly, this is usually not the kind of film that they nominate. But you know what? I will never make another film that has, my insides out, because, most of this footage was never meant for public viewing. It was my personal diary footage, my written diaries, my video diaries, my home videos, really never intended for anybody's eyes, never mind, the whole world. So, and it was very hard for me, because when I found my childhood diaries, and I used them as a vehicle to take the audience back to experience what I did as a child. And reread the boxes of these diaries, I relived it, and it was very tough. So, yeah, we're going to do that. But, yeah, I'm sure we're going to have start doing semi-theatrical screenings. And if there's to your viewers and listeners out there, if there are organizations out there or from individuals to groups that are interested, they should contact us via the website. And we're doing a lot of semi-theatrical screenings. And so, yeah, the point of this is to get as many eyeballs on it as possible and help people. And I also sometimes I do the seminar afterwards with it.
Like you did the Q&A with Rosalind Kahn, which was fantastic, that people had the ability to come and touch you, which is how I met you. And you're so personable. You're so down to earth, which is unusual. You're very nice.
Well, I'm thrilled that she brought wonderful people along that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet, or you might not even have known about it.
Right. So thank you so much for being on with us this morning. I know that you have a very busy schedule, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just met you, and you agreed to do the show. I mean, you're a surefire trooper, you and your mom.
Well, thank you. I mean, anything to further the cause of helping people find peace in their own life.
Yes.
And, again, this is my new life and new mission. So thank you for having me on as a guest.
Yes. And I'd like for you to come back. You have an open door, so please, anything that you'd like to promote or basically connect with, feel free to contact Tami's Corner.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And thank you for being with us this morning and listening to that interview with Gail Kirschenbaum. And she was just so fantastic to basically take her time to enlighten us. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back more with Tami's Corner.
speaker. All these people and all of you, and we're going to learn about random acts of kindness. We're going to learn about presenting ideas to people, and I'm going to ask that all of you keep enjoying your meal while we also enjoy the presentation, and that you will give a warm Kiwanis welcome to Rosalind Hahn. Thank you all very much. Have you ever had one of those horrible, terrible days when anything that could go wrong would go wrong, and it got worse and worse? Well, I want to tell you about one of those bad days. You see, it was about a week ago, and I had a problem at the school, and I said, tomorrow is going to be a better day. I know it will. I got to school really early, 6:30. I finished entering my last grade, and I said, just 2 phone calls. I want to call to get my 7th cell phone set up with the proper information. And the guy says, I can't talk to you till 12. And I said, but I have a Kiwanis meeting at 11 o'clock. That's not going to make it. And then I called my friend to lament about the horrible day that I experienced the day before. And she said to me, Rosalind, you're letting the job get to you. Now, when I go to my class, I forget the world that's come before me. And I always put a quote on the door, on the wall. And the quote said this, stress. Who in this class feels stress? If you do a random...
Good morning, and we're starting with our next guest. This is Rosalind Kahn. She is a coach, also a professor, a motivational speaker, and we have her here on the line. She's going to be speaking with us. Rosalind, are you there?
Yes, I am. So great to speak to you this morning. How you doing, darling?
Fine. How are you?
Awesome. I've been posting on the world that we're together here today, so telling all my friends. Woo-hoo.
Thank you. And now, as you've heard, I just got off the phone with Gail Kirschenbaum from Look at Us Now Mother, who you've done Q&A sections with at her film feature, and with your Random Acts of Kindness as a collaboration. So
yes.
Go ahead and talk to us about that.
Oh, my God. It was the most beautiful thing to be on the stage. I've actually last night, I was early this morning writing up my newsletter, explaining how beautiful that experience was. I mean, the whole thing about forgiveness and kindness is simply beautiful, beautiful. It was so great to see so many people out, the dialogue and the exchange that went on and happened there. And there was just, there was a nice small but mighty group that came out on the day on Thursday when I had done the event, and
right.
It was amazing. There was a lady who came and was actually met me 2 years ago, and she said, when I see you and what you're doing right now, you're truly an inspiration. Her name was Sharon, and she's up from Santa Clarita. And then there was an older couple that I engaged in the audience, and they were talking about how difficult it is with today's young people, of how hard it is. They're going 50 different directions, just like you and I are, and just trying to get the time to make sense and put it all together. And it's just trying to see people from different places. And then there was a lady I met out in front, and she said to me, "I just lost my mother. Is this going to bring me sadness, or can I see this?" And I said, no, it's really an uplifting, powerful, powerful film.
Right.
And the greatest thing that happened was, as I was going ahead and giving my definition of forgiveness, there were these people who were getting up and walking out of the theater. And I said, when I began to say what forgiveness was, and they could hear in the tone of my voice, they stopped in their tracks. And they sat and listened, so I want to share it with the audience. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, there's this tradition that comes from Hawaii. It's called Ho'oponopono. And it's basically this tradition that in the Hawaiian culture, there was this guy who was on the outside of a prison, and he oversaw the people that were inside of it in light that he had their 4 files. And he prayed over them each and every day and asked they be forgiven with these 4 simple words. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you and thank you. And through his prayers, these people were miraculously released, and they were sent out into society and went on to be successful. And then the other people who were sent on to halfway houses were later released. I mean, it is truly a powerful, powerful vision. And what happens in life is, as Gail had said on her show, and I know that she talked about it, so many people carry this grief with you.
Yes.
This ball and chain
Right.
of, oh my God, I can't believe what my mother did, what my father did. I'm never going to let them go. I'm never going to let them go.
Right.
And I met this lady at this out in Monrovia, and I want to share this because it's really important. And
So, Gail, really quickly. So, are you saying? I think I'm hearing you and Gail both saying that forgiveness releases you, right?
Oh, yeah. It does. It does. It's amazing. There was a lady. She had curly hair, and when I told her about this movie, she almost began to cry because she said, "My daughter in New York hates me. She won't have anything absolutely to do with me. Nothing at all." And I said, "What are you losing if you do nothing? What if you simply send a message to the intermediary and just ask these words, do you have anything to lose?" And I'm going to talk to her next week. She's going to her grandmother's house.
Yes.
And it is all about forgiveness. And I promise when I find out what happened, I'm going to let you know, because forgiveness is really what it's all about.
Yes, it is. You know, when I started this show, it launched March 5th. My second show, I did a segment on learning forgiveness. And it's so funny that it's coming back full circle again. Here we are. So this has to be something that we need to deal with as a society. You know, a lot of times we're angry and we don't even know the reason why. And Gail kind of touched on that this morning. You want to go ahead and step into that territory really quickly with us holding on to unforgiveness, you know, and what it does, that bitter root. Rosalind?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Gail. No. So there was a long silence. I'm like, I'm being patient, I'm being kind, being considerate.
Yes.
No, it's you know, there's. I was talking to a doctor the other day, and we were saying that in your body with the blood cells, and I'm not a doctor, the blood goes ahead and constricts and it hardens.
Yes.
When you're going ahead and you're harboring, there's these internal changes that are going on in your body.
Yes.
And when you learn to let it go, it's like the freeing up, and there's a whole biological change that happens in your body, and it just lets it go. And I want to give your listeners this really valuable piece of advice. My life coach gave me this tape, these meditations to listen to, and it's called Headspace. And the series I'm listening to right now is talking about acceptance. And the one I listened today went ahead and it said, acceptance is not letting people walk all over you. It's not letting people do whatever they want.
Right.
It's not allowing yourself to be. It's looking at the situation that you have control over how your mind acts and reacts. And it's your choice and decision when something goes ahead and happens.
Right. It is a choice.
Is it gonna go this way, or is it gonna go that way?
Right.
And I have a friend, and every time I talk to him, he says, "Your time is running out. You never know when it's your last day.
Right.
When are you going to start taking advantage of all the gifts and all the talents that you have that you bring to the world? There's no one in the world that has as many gifts as you do. What are you waiting for?
Right.
What are you waiting for?"
Right.
We never know. And it's all about that, you know, the communication of just reaching out. And it's funny when I say that. I remember my biggest thing of forgiveness was this catering company that I had done some work with. I met the wife, and we had a disagreement on some production of some graphics or something like that. And I had a conversation with the spouse, who's also the business partner. And I went ahead and I said these words. I'll leave out the person's name, and I just said, you know, I'll call him Jack for all intents and purposes. Jack, when the two of us talked, I really resonated with your heart and your soul of what you do in the kitchen. I think it's absolutely beautiful. The foods you make are absolutely wonderful. I greatly value our friendship, and I'm hoping that whatever happened between me and your wife on some other business relationships, that we can learn to forgive. We can simply go ahead and move on.
Yes.
And so when I was at this Hispanic business chamber, who was the person who was doing that event? But that person. And I said, oh, my God, I wish you could be at this event today. I'm talking about forgiveness. And, they had to go ahead and clean up and so on and so forth, but I sent them a link to my next show. And I just think it's serendipity, the way life goes ahead and happens, how Valentino had invited me out to Dante's party.
Right.
And the two of us had never met before.
Right.
And the moment that we sat down and we were being interviewed by Jesse Torreno,
right, on his TV show,
there was like a kindle in our hearts.
Yes, it was a kinship.
We said we got to talk, baby. We got to talk. There's so much that we have to share with the world.
Yes. So, Rosalind, how did you get started?
How did I get started on which or what?
Well, how did you get started being a professor and then segue into the things that you're doing now? How did
oh my God, it's a beautiful story, and I gratefully appreciate so much you're going ahead and asking that question. I know a lot of people who listen to your show are into the deal of self-help, and the number one organization that I can refer to people is Toastmasters International.
Yes.
I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't have that beginning in Toastmasters. My father said when I graduated college, there was another skill that I needed to learn besides the scholastic of the hard knocks of school, and that was about speaking. The average person stays in Toastmasters for about a year, and I stayed in Toastmasters for over 10 years. And in those 10 years, I was always pretty good at what I did, and so I'd go to the clubs that would push me to the next level, that would challenge me.
Right.
And so I won in the speaking realm at the club contest. I won at the area contest. I won at the division level. I won at the district level. I went on to outside my area, and when I went outside my area, I was out in the beautiful area of the Inland Empire, and I say, what's the Inland Empire known for? It's known for farmland and beautiful people who have different perspectives than people who live out near the ocean.
Right.
And I'll put it like that. And so, I make this joke that when I got up and gave this speech, and my impromptu talk was a talk that you have no experience, you just talk about what comes off your head. And it was a time where we had one of the most worst ecological disasters we've ever had, and people still talk about it today, was the Exxon Valdez. And they said, what if you saw a bumper sticker that went ahead and said, and they whistled while they worked? I mistakenly made the error of going ahead and saying they'd be whistling while they work, while they cleaned up the oil spill. And unfortunately, it was because the guy was drunk and he was drinking. And that's why we have one of the worst disasters ever. And I say, well, that's what landed me into the college circuit, is that I made that mistake, but I want the listeners to learn this. Life has its ups and downs, and we never know what's around the next curve. And so even though I landed there, I'm back on the other side, and that's the beauty I want to go ahead and say, because I got the Toastmasters, and I maxed out to the best I could do. And then I came across words and said, I love this so much, I'm going to go in the colleges and teach. How many people do you know that have been doing this for 20-plus years? As a friend of mine said, you're an expert, you're a pro, I'm a certified professional, and I not only teach people to speak, but I do it for my life and my living. And I turn people into champions. And so from very early on, I was taking people who came into my class and turning them into speech champions and helping them win money and win prizes and this, that, and the other. And one day, a friend of mine introduced me to this concept called TED. And I went and saw it, and it was like a dream come true for someone who was a Toastmaster. So that was a new stage.
Right.
And so I spent a year coaching about a half a dozen people. And I used my experience as a college teacher, and I walked in and I said, I just wanted to learn. And a lady picked me up who's one of my dear friends out of Homer, Alaska. And she introduced me to these high-level people, Eliana Giad, a lady who was a psychologist who worked with the emotionally abused, and all these other people. And I coached about a half dozen of them. When I got to the end of the half dozen, one day I woke up and I said, I'm tired. It's my turn. I want to do this. And so a month later, my dream came true. And I was on a TED stage speaking about how taking my students to the theater changes the way they learn English. And that was the first one. And when I got up on that stage and I realized there was an audience that was bigger than my classroom,
Right.
I said, wow, I want to do this. And then I've probably given over 150 speeches in the last 2 to 3 years. Most recently, I was asked to give 2 more speeches this year. One of them was called Coming Around the Curve, about my battle with scoliosis and how it made me a more compassionate human being. And I absolutely love that speech. I'd love to speak to scoliosis foundations or young people or anybody that has that disease, because it's really a challenge, but it has beauty on the other side, because I understand people in ways that I might have never understood people before.
That's fantastic that you're saying that basically the foundation of you starting was through your dad. You know, your dad basically saw that you had a gift in you, and he pushed you and promoted you to step into that direction, and now you're basically walking in that gift, that talent, as a result of it.
It's absolutely true. As I was going to one event, or I was thinking about it, and I was in the jacuzzi one day, and then I suddenly had a vision in my head that I saw my mother and father looking down at me for heaven.
Mm-hmm.
They were smiling, and they were so happy, just seeing these amazing things that they projected, but they were never able to see the outcome. So my most recent speech, that's most near and dear to me, is called Breaking Cultural Barriers. But it's really what you're doing on this radio show, of how every person in the world can make a huge difference.
Right.
And the differences that they can make. And so it's from that, doing that third TED Talk, that I wrote a book on random acts of kindness that came after the TED experience. And recently there's been a resurgence and interest in what that's all about, and that's how I met Gail. And so when she saw this book that I had written about this random acts of kindness and forgiveness, this thing came upon my life to be on a stage with an Emmy Award-making film.
Right.
And what's really funny, I love dogs. And so when I saw that she had done a film about it, I got to go check that film out.
Right,
check that film out. I want to see it. I love dogs. And so when the two of us were on stage, and it was just so much fun being in LA, and I'm a connector. I love connecting people. So, you know, I helped Valentino connect with this guy who's going to be in Las Vegas for the Wascall convention, the Wascall TV convention, of my friend Richard Stefani, who came out to listen to my talk that was out, the one I did on coming around the next curve. And, you know, I'm setting you up with people that I met at the Latino convention. And when Gail was there, I said, the number one person that you need to know in the world is Carla Silva. She does the absolute best drop-dead promotional brochures, branding, and so on and so forth. And she quickly friended her, and, you know, the two of you met. And then she met my friend Jesse Torreno, who went ahead and has stuff on his page on her, and and all the entourages of the Mooney Ibrodes, the Esther Leones, and, you know, the Rose breast cancer of Carmelita Pittman, and, you know, my friend Mr. Schlesinger, who owns a theater, and the lady from Gunsmoke, Allison Young, and Marsha. I mean, it's so amazing to just see all these people ruminating in the same circle, wanting to be a part of something that is so beautiful and positive of what we need.
Right.
And I remember in the theater, there's a point to this, the person in the audience who stood up and said, did you know this person who does research on forgiveness? And there's a whole wealth of information that's out there that's on the pushing edge. And I just hope so much that people who are listening to this will join her movement on really working on forgiveness, because that is what our world needs now.
Yes. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. And so it's kind of, you know, from that path that I've come to this particular place, and my love of youth has taken me to an event in 2 weeks from today that I'm going to be sharing my knowledge and expertise as a veteran of public speaking with over 20 years experience as an author, as a TED speaker, and an entrepreneur.
And
to share my gifts with young people and adults who want to cross to the other line, to see what it's like to become an entrepreneur. And my heart really reaches out to my students. There are so many student stories I could tell you about on the random acts of kindness. And
I saw like one of your features where you had lemons and you had flowers in the classroom with your students, and you said, I'm just giving you like one of each, just because it was just something just out of the kindness of your heart. You brought it in. There was no type of nothing behind it. You just wanted to pay it forward, and then you went into your talk. So you're not just saying this. You're actually, what I'm saying is that you're not just preaching this. You are actually walking it out. You actually do
it's
this.
Like if you go to my Facebook page, I love roses and I love flowers, and there's a beautiful picture of a rose that I brought to this lady that I was meeting for the first time. And
you've given out roses
even more
where you live.
The picture than I remember looking. And she said, "Here's to the opening of a new relationship." And I said to my husband, someone was going to pick us up, and I said, "Go to the backyard, clip him some roses besides giving him some money." And he says, "No, we don't need to do that." I'm like, but it's the things that you do.
Right. But Rosalind, you also give out roses in your neighborhood.
I do.
Right.
I do. I just say, I clip a bunch of them off, and I'm like, who am I going to see today? Who can I take them to?
Right.
And it's just amazing, whether it's the lemons or the roses or a smile or a conversation. The day that I did my talk, which was the other day, I said, I'm going to touch each and every person that I come in contact. And there was 10 or 15 people on the way out of that club that I must have said good morning to and have a beautiful day. And, in the theater and the people there and all the way throughout the whole day, if we could truly become agents of change, and it's simply having a conversation or smiling or listening to someone, imagine what our world could really be.
You're actually working on right now, and that's awesome, that we have to be a little bit more mindful and how we affect the world that we live in. And I wanted to go into like the article that you're writing right now. What is that piece on, and when should people expect it?
Well, actually, I set my mind out, and I do what I say that I'm going to do. So even though I only got a paragraph on my newsletter that was up and coming out,
okay.
I was up till 1:30 last night putting cranks, getting it.
Right.
And it's the newsletter of where I've been, where I'm going, and what's next on the plate. And I was thinking, because my mind is never on one thing,
Right.
so I listen to my mindfulness and so on and so forth.
Right.
Is I have this thing I'm going to post on my webpage. It's on my webpage, which is rosalindkahn.com, and it's something that everyone in the world faces, and it's, how do we overcome those obstacles of difficulty? How do we overcome those obstacles of difficulty? And how do we truly come out on the other side? And I remember when I wrote it, and I always, writing is a process where there's an editorial staff, and I have a group of people, I send things out, and they said, I really love the way this one feels. I really love the way this one sounds. This is a really beautiful piece, and I didn't really have a place for it. And I think in the next day or so, I'm going to have to get it up there and post it. And I also have this this page. It's called a treasure chest, and it has a picture of a key to a chest.
Yes.
And it goes ahead and it has all these things that we're talking about of mindfulness, of serenity, of peace. And every day you go up there, there's another magical thought of something that we can do to bring that peace and serenity in our world. So my newsletter is coming out, and if you're listening and you want to get a copy of that, I want to thank my buddy Kenneth Wyrick from L.A. Trade Check, who put this link on my webpage that anybody who's listening can go to. I'll spell my name out phonetically. In Spanish, it's the word Rosa, which is R-O-S-A. It's Lynn with one N, L-Y-N. Altogether, Rosalind, and my last name is Kahn, K-A-H-N, Kahn.com. And if you go there, you can fill out that you'd like to get a copy of my recent newsletter. And just for listening for today, I have a present for all your listeners. They can click to download the first chapter of my book, Random Acts of Kindness. It's really a simple book. You could go ahead and get the book at Barnes & Noble. It's produced by Solutions Press, available on Amazon. You could read it in a day. One sultry day, I had a conversation with my sister-in-law in Israel, and I was trying to get her to promote this book over there of Random Acts of Kindness. And as she said, Israel is a different place than you know and understand. I went to the club, and I met this lady, and she had some beautiful flowers. It all comes together with these flower bits here.
Wow, yes.
And I said, what are those beautiful flowers for? And she said, oh, it's my anniversary. And she talked about how she'd recently been married. And we got together and we were talking about married life, this, that, and the other. And I walked up and I said, you know, I have this beautiful book that I wrote that I know you'd really appreciate. And she said these words, I have that book. Me and my family sit and talk about it every night at the table of what random acts of kindness we've done for each other.
Wow.
Is that amazing?
Wow. Confirmation that you're doing the right thing.
Oh my God. And simply talking to you is a confirmation on top of that. It is just beautiful beyond words. My favorite line is gratitude beyond words. I just really appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you. You know, we're going to tie this up, and I'm getting ready to end this conversation with you, although it's been awesome, wonderful content today. But I want you, before we hang up, if you can just drop a bit of a gem of a nugget of wisdom into the audience before hanging up with us.
Certainly. I want to say two things. One of the most beautiful ones that I've always heard is, every day in life is a gift. It's a present. And the mystery is, we never know what tomorrow will bring. We never know. And so when we think of those magic of those words, if there's a person out there in your audience who has some difficulties in their life and they'd like to speak with me personally, I'd strongly suggest that they go ahead and they write this phone number down. It's 818-583-7328. That is my Google voicemail. And I'd be more than happy to work with them. And also, in addition to that, if anyone has a talk or a speech that they need to give for their company, for their coworkers, to their friends, to their families, for an upcoming funeral, I've got 20 years' experience, and I can help them deliver that speech with eloquence, just as you've heard me speak with you today.
Yes.
It's truly been my honor and privilege, and I look forward to helping out each and any person who might give me a call. I'll give them a 15-minute complimentary so that they can see what life is all about. And I promise, when they walk away, they'll walk away happier than when they picked up the phone and they gave me a call in the first place. Doesn't that sound like an incredible offer?
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Rosalind Kahn, for being on Tami's Corner this morning. I appreciate you. You are like more than a professor, mentor, coach, writer. You're also a connector. I'm going to give you that new title, a connector of many levels.
Oh, my God.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and then you should see the pictures. Oh, my God, I love my roses. So look out for my next book on roses and dogs.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Have a good one, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're in between a lot today. You're not even local.
No, I'm calling in for my vacation in Las Vegas.
Right, right. But you're busy.
We're having a good time, but you said this was an incredible opportunity to share the wisdom, and once I heard that Gail was on, I said, oh,
yes,
we got to be there together because we're working on a similar mission. Her and I are changing the world one step at a time.
Yes. And then you're coming back April 30th. So,
Right.
yeah, you'll be in studio at that time, and you'll have a lot of goodies for us at that time.
Oh, my God. God only knows what's going to happen at that time. So
Right.
check out my webpage and see where I'm appearing next. And thank you again so much, and have a beautiful and blessed day. Gratitude beyond words.
Aw,
Thank you.
To you, too. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yes. So thank you, audience, this morning. And also we want to thank at the top of the hour, we had Gail Kirschenbaum, who's an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, TV producer, and motivational speaker. She did the movie Look at Us Now, Mother. And I was so happy that she took the time to just basically stop on by this growing broadcast. And also Rosalind Kahn, thank you so much, because without you, the connection couldn't have happened. And we are entirely grateful to both of you. Tammy's Corner fully wants to support the movement because we're about the same thing. So please stay tuned for next week, same time, same place. And I'm your host, Tammy, on Tammy's Corner.